I'm going to use a combination of the stuff we used earlier and do them all in one drawing. So we're going to use a combination of pencil and permanent pen. And this time, instead of using the Prisma color pencil, I'm going to use a different pencil called a Kohl Erase. Right? It's just a standard pencil, nothing different. And here we're going to bring another thumbnail like the previous two. There's another thumbnail I did before, very small, about 1 inch, 2 inches across. Right? Thumbnail for this drawing, blown up in the copy machine. That's why you can see it's so loose. I'm going to turn this drawing into a finished piece. This time I'll show you a different method. I've been doing my drawings free-handed for the past two. On this one I'm going to use a little bit of ruler to see that even using a ruler it can go quite quickly. Right? Sometimes you think by using a ruler it slows you down. But for a case like this, a perfect side view, a lot of straight lines, a ruler is actually a lot quicker to do. So don't limit yourself to materials. You're always open to use whatever you need to get the drawing done. So again, I'm going to put a copy paper over, put some artist tape, keep the drawings in place. Put some here. In this tutorial, because we did some of the stuff already, later on we're actually going to do a little time lapse to speed things up so you don't see the same thing over and over again. But in this case here, we are going to show you this in real time. So here we go, right? It's a side view. Let's drop the ground in. Again, we could barely see through the paper, but it's good enough. And so here we go. We're going to use a straight edge to do all these lines. So this pencil I'm using, it's just a standard pencil. It's not a non-photo blue or anything like that. And just a pencil, and so it's a lot better than a Prisma as far as inking on top of. It's very tricky to do a Prisma color pencil drawing and then put ink on top of it, because Prisma color pencil has a lot of waxiness to it. So when you put a permanent pen ink on top, it actually doesn't stick. In this case, it's just a pencil, so it inks very well, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to ink on top of this drawing afterwards. So when do you want to use this process? One of them is being you have a nice sketch and you want to put more details in it before you commit to a permanent ink drawing. Going a little out of focus here. The camera has a little problem of picking up a perfect white page. Doesn't know what to focus on, so give it a little time. So we're okay for now. So what you do is you have a rough sketch, either have a thumbnail underneath or you have a marker roughed out drawing, and you go in with this blue pencil or any type of pencil and draw all your details, and that way when you ink you're not guessing anything. It's going to do it according to what you have on the pencil. Right, so we got these wheels, we got these details. I'm just going in with a ruler with a straight edge, hit those in. For the wheels, a lot quicker just to use a circle guide or circle template. So the camera here is having a little bit hard time focusing on this because nothing there for it to see. Right. But as soon as we put in more line art, it'll start picking up the details. Again, putting some details in here and there. So I'm using quite a bit of aid here as far as drawing aids go, rulers and templates. To show you how fast a sketch like this could go. And I do some freehand here and there as well. I'm pretty confident drawing straight lines at a short distance. But for long lines, although you could do it freehanded, so much faster with a straight edge. Here's some kind of piston thing, right? It's a long line. Why not just use a straight edge? Put that in. So pencil, I'm not pressing too hard when I do these lines. I can actually press really hard on this pencil and get a very, very thick, dark line. But because I'm inking on top of this drawing, I don't want to make the lines too thick. So this lead, as compared to the Prismacolor pencil, is a lot harder. So it keeps the edge for a long time. I'm barely sharpening this pencil as I draw here because the edge doesn't really degrade over time. It's very hard lead. Right? And this pencil is called a Kohl Erase. You find it in most art stores. I believe it's manufactured by Sanford. Not too clear on that, but so ask your local art store person for a Kohl Erase. It's used quite a bit in the industry, especially for animation. And we tend to use blue. It gives a very architectural feel to it, very concept-y. But they come in all sorts of colors: red, blue, black, purple. It's up to you what you want to use. But again, it's just a regular pencil. It's not anything special as far as the lead that's inside there. But it does flow well on paper. You could draw on many different surfaces. So all the materials I showed you in this DVD here is very flexible as far as drawing surface goes. Right. Whereas some of the permanent pens I use in other DVDs, the High-Tech C pen for example, very difficult to use on smoother paper like vellum, because it tends to smear quite a bit because it doesn't dry since it is permanent ink. So if you draw quickly, you can just smear your drawing. Whereas ballpoint pen and pencil, very difficult to smear because they lay on the page so well, and there's nothing to dry. They're already dry medium. So now I'm just laying in some more details. Right. As soon as this stage is done, we're going to go ahead and put this thing in a little fast forward time lapse. You can see how this all finished up. As you can see here, I'm adding in more lines using the blue pencil. A lot of it free-handed, but anything that's a long straight line, I do it with a straight edge. So it's a great way to do your drawings with the use of this blue pencil here to do initial drawing, laying all your details, and all to do is just ink it. And this demo I'm going to ink it and then marker afterwards. So you can see you could get a lot of different results using different mediums, or you could get the similar results using initial different mediums, right? Because the previous sketch we did that robot with a ballpoint pen, but we still ended up markering it. In this case, we started with a pencil, but we're also going to end up with a marker rendering. So be flexible with the materials, right? Don't need to depend on just one. Play around because all these materials have great advantages to them. Putting some windows for this vehicle here. And since this drawing is a side view drawing, it's very easy to do. It's not that much perspectives to worry about. So all I'm doing is just worrying about the proportions and some of the details. The great thing about pencil right there is you can see it erases out. Unlike Prismacolor pencil, they're very difficult to erase because their lead is there's a lot of wax in it, so it tends not to erase out. Whereas this erases very, very well off paper. So if you do make mistakes, you can correct that fairly quickly. Again, adding details with my blue pencil. And I can add these details fairly quickly because we do have the underlay underneath this paper here. Putting a circle template for the wheels. I'm going to fake a little bit of perspective here. I'm going to put the circles just slightly off center to fake a little bit of a 3D feel to these wheels here. As you can see here, right? Slightly off center, so they feel like the wheels have some depth in it. As you can see here as well, right, the rim of the wheel slightly off center to suggest a little bit of a three-dimensional space. So this drawing on the wheels is not technically a perfect side view, but I do these little touches here and there just to even make a side view drawing feel a little more dimensional. For example, the back wheels, the wheels on the other side, we're drawing a little bit to make you feel like this vehicle is definitely sitting in a 3D space. So for the line drawing part, we're almost done. We have enough information to start inking this vehicle in. So I'm just going to add some last minute details, check everything, and then we can move ahead and start inking it. Yeah, looks pretty good. There's some kind of piston there. Let's just draw that in. Okay, looks good. Let's put some details in the wheel. Right, let's put some rim details just here there, make it a little sci-fi looking. It's these little details that give these vehicles a lot of scale. Or any design, a lot of scale is the level of details you put in. If you want something to feel real world, then you have to put in some smaller details to make it believable. If this was a toy, then you won't put those little details in there, then you'll offset the scale. A little bit more of a circle template. And we're ready to wrap this drawing up and move forward to the inking process. So it looks pretty good. Alright, so let's get ready and ink this guy in. So here we go. We're still going to do a little bit of touch up here and there just to make sure. Before I commit to ink, I just felt that this section was missing some details. And I want to put those in just to be safe. And I also didn't like the front of the vehicle. It felt like it's stopping its a forward momentum of design, so I just want to correct that line slightly there. And that looks pretty good. I think now we're ready to ink. And I'm going to use a felt tip pen this time to ink. Right, the medium we used earlier. So I'm going to start inking. Right, using a straight edge here. Nice and quick. And let's just bring this into a quicker speed, since we've seen inking done already in the previous tutorial. So let's just go a little quick here. Here we go. So you can see I used the straight edge quite a bit for all the longer lines. But even when using the straight edge, I'm keeping it still look nice and quick. Right? Move my pen straight across. But see how fast you can do these straight lines with the straight edge. It makes your drawing look nice and clean as well. Even if it's a loose sketch, it'll look nice and clean. I believe this sketch took about maybe 45 minutes to an hour to do. Just like the previous demos, these are all quick sketch techniques. We're never going in there and spending too much time worrying about the line work. We're after the overall effect here, the sketch, to make sure you communicate your idea. And that's the purpose of these sketches. Again, bring in the straight edge for some of the straighter lines. So you see, on and off, for smaller lines I just do it free-handed. For anything long, just bring that ruler. Yeah, lines like that, just do it free-handed. Some kind of weird joint. Maybe it's a rotation point. Right, adding details as well. The blue pencil acts as a great guide for me to ink, so I know exactly where to put the ink down. And the smaller details, I could do that when I'm inking, right? Because the overall, everything else is done. There you go. So very clean. Using the blue pencil first, because I'm not guessing at all when I'm inking, right? So I don't have too many lines floating around from guessing. So every line is put down because I had it drawn with a blue pencil. Moving ahead to the bottom of the vehicle. Another piston that's going to the front wheel. And the reason why I could go so quick again is because we have the sketch underneath. The blue pencil sketch. In this tutorial, we're not going to make any photocopies because the blue pencil and this felt tip pen both take marker very well. Nothing's going to bleed, right? Everything's permanent here. As far as markers goes, you could render marker right on top of the pencil. It's not going to affect it. But if you choose, you can always erase the pencil out after you ink it, and you make your drawing look even cleaner by doing so. So if you're doing this sketch, for example, and you finish, you could actually just take your eraser and erase all the blue out, leave the permanent ink in, give you a nice effect. But for this one, we're going to leave the pencil in when we marker. So we have three mediums all gelling together. Okay, got the wheels in. Let's do the rim area. Alright, see that little bit off center really helps sell those wheels as being 3D space. Even though technically this is a side view drawing. So even now we're getting a very clean sketch here. Let's put in the ground line. Okay, it's good. Other side of the wheel. And now we need to add some details in there to sell the scale once again. Make sure it's believable. Details in the wheel. Right. So overall, the proportion and everything is drawn out, but it looks like it's still lacking a little bit of detail. The scale doesn't look believable yet. So we're going to go in there and just add a few more details. Right, like so, adding these cut lines here and there. Yep. Adding more lines, right? All this is to give it a lot more scale, right? Not necessarily changing any of the proportions at all. We're not going outside of our initial thumbnail that we had. Right, zoom in, show you a little bit. Fairly loose but precise drawing, right? The process itself is loose, but because we used a straight edge, the drawing looked pretty accurate as far as line weight and the line qualities go. Details guys up further. Yeah. It's pretty good. Those are little gears, pistons. That's at the back of the vehicle there. Now we can add a little line weight in there to punch some of these shapes out. Right. For example, this thing's in front of everything else. So let's go ahead and add some line weight to really pop that in front of the back end area. Same with some of these shapes here. Let's connect that to the wheel. We'll throw in some black as well to just make it a little punchier. Remember, if you make the drawing work in black and white, it's so much easier when we add marker. Window, some details. Beefing up the line weight. Okay, minor details. Beef up some line weight there, some over here. Okay, it's coming together pretty nicely. And remember, we started this with a rough thumbnail underneath, and we did a blue pencil pass on top. And that allows us to draw the side view fairly accurately and very clean as well, because we're not doing any guesswork with a pen. As in the previous demo, when we did that robot that's sitting down, we did all the details and inking on the fly. The only information we had was the thumbnail underneath, right? So this drawing tends to look a lot looser, right? Because we have a lot of ink lines floating everywhere while we're exploring and finding the shapes. And whereas in this case, the only thing you're seeing now is the permanent felt tip pen lines. So it looks very clean because there's no exploration going on with the pen. We're just inking what we saw from the blue pencil. So even though this is time-lapse, fast forward here, I believe the inking process only took about 20 minutes or so, not too long. It's a quick process since we already had drawing underneath. Some more pistons and stuff going to the back side there. A few more minutes of this and we can start markering. So right now I'm just punching some shapes in and out using the thicker felt tip pen. For example, that big shape right here, there, make sure that's punched out and reading. So start to come together, looks good. That's the headlights of some kind. Very strange vehicle here, maybe it's got this brick spring on the bottom there. Still adding line weight, grounding the sky. So far two different media is used. One is a color erase pencil, and one is this felt tip pigment liner. Permanent ink, so we can marker over this. And because this is a side view sketch, I'm actually putting detail quite a bit everywhere here. But of course the focus here is definitely the center of the vehicle here with all the gears and pistons and also the wheels. But we're not really fading anything out here because it is such a perfect side view. But a little fade of details you can see is maybe the back wheels, right? Or the front wheels, the wheels that's going to perspective here. Even though it's a side view, we're going to fake that a little bit. And here we're going to add a little human figure for scale. Again, always have scale when you're designing something. So just put a guy there, maybe he's like 6 feet tall guy. And we also started him by using a pencil, right, a blue pencil. And going in, just ink him in. Make sure it's sitting on solid ground here. And with him, we're done with the inking process. So let's wrap this section up and go on to markers. Okay. Zoom in, show you the line work. Pencil, pencil. So we're leaving the blue pencil in even when they're going to marker, right? Because remember, the pencil takes marker, so does the felt tip pen. So here we go with the 30%. Again, start light. Everything on top receives light. Things on the bottom becomes the medium or dark. It's got a little shiny ball thing right there. So side view drawing is very easy to marker since you're not worried too much about perspective at all, where you don't have any perspective even to speak of. It's all side view. So a lot easier to control your values. So whatever's below something gets dark, whatever's above something is light, and that's all to really worry about, right? Not too difficult to figure out what's in shadow and what's not. So here, that big shape is covering all this stuff on the bottom in shadow, so that's why I used 30% and covered everything up. Okay. Got a fresh 30% marker. So the thing about marker, here's a few more tips. If the marker tends to start running dry, just go ahead and grab a fresh marker. You want your marker to go on there nice and smooth, nice and wet. As soon as it starts to dry, you're going to start getting streaks, and also it won't flow nicely across the page, right? And it gets some muddy results by using a marker that's about to go dry. But the thing is, don't throw away, especially if you just have a brand new marker starting to go dry. You don't need to throw it away yet. Put it to the side, work with a brand new one. Come back to the other marker the next day or even a few hours later. It'll probably be juicy for a while again, right? We build up. So you can do that a couple of times with the markers, maybe after the 4th, 5th time, and then you're pretty much done with that marker, it's gone. But I always keep my marker around for a little bit when it goes dry. But keep it in a different stack so you don't get confused. So again, go in there, marking the stuff up. Everything on the bottom goes darker. Let's do the wheels. Darker inside the rims. Shadow going across it. It's got this ball area inside the middle. Same with the other side. Okay. As far as making a read marker, it's working pretty well here. It looks pretty good, but we do need to go in there and add a little bit of darker markers to finish it. Put a little gradient on top of the body works here, so it's not all blown out in white. The wheel, a little bit of marker. Again, marker is a quick process. I believe this in real time took about 10-15 minutes to do, not that long. So now I'm going in with a darker marker now. I believe we're using a 50% here to really punch some stuff and have a lot of contrast. Just following the marker, building it up slowly. Okay, punching those shapes out. So notice how fast I'm using these markers, right? Again, fast, medium. Don't want to go in there render. As soon as you slow down on marker, you're going to get a lot of muddiness going because it dries really quick. So if you're working slow, you're going to get dry spots and wet, dry, wet. You're going to get all these streaks and dots. That's not smooth. You want to keep the marker looking nice and smooth. So one way to do that is to work quickly. Right? So by working fast with the fresh marker, you likely won't get any streaks. Right? If you work slow and your marker is starting to dry, then it's not going to look that good. It's blocking a little bit of a ground shadow, just to ground him a little bit. Yeah, looks pretty good. Nice and clean drawing here. Still feel like the top needs a little bit of value. Okay, that's good. Alright, looks like a shiny car or vehicle thing here. Alright, by now marker has dry a little bit, so we're going to go in and just punch out the dark area a little bit more. Remember, the marker does tend to dry fairly quickly, and when it dries lighter. Okay, that looks good. A few more areas to touch up. And for here, just like the previous demo, it's throwing a little bit of a background element of some kind, right? Very abstract, but just to pop the shape out further. Here we go, just around the vehicle, right? That gels it together with the background. Zoom in, show you all the little details here and there. Right. Draw an 8.5 by 11 paper again. And last thing to do is name it. Write your name and then date it. Keep it pretty small on the page. Don't want this to dominate the drawing at all. Right. So we're done with this stage, and we're finished with the third tutorial here. Right. So you can see, use all sorts of materials. Let's beef up some lines here and there. We're back to real time here, so you guys could see this drawing slightly more. But this much does it for the third part of this tutorial. So you'll see how we do something with pencil, something with ballpoint pen, and this last one here, we combine them all using a pencil and permanent pen to achieve a different result. So it's up to you to find the medium you like. But hopefully these demos demonstrate that you can pretty much use whatever and get pretty nice results from it. You know, and it's nice. This one especially has a nice combination of both, which I tend to do quite a bit. So that's it. Thanks for watching tutorials, and goodbye.